λυπηρή εξέλιξη. Αφού σε παρούσα, γιατί δεν θες να μιλήσεις? Ο κόσμος σε θέλει, θα σε ακούσει, τέλος πάντων. Αν αλλάξει γνώμη, εγώ θα αρχίσω με τον κύριο Φως. Μάλιστα. Δικό σου θέμα είναι. Dr. Foss, are you ready? Yes. Ο κύριος Φως είναι από την Αγγλία, από τον Νότιχαμ και έχει ασχοληθεί με την Amblyopia. Θα μας παρουσιάσει σύγχρονους τρόπους αντιμετώπισης Amblyopίας. Would you like to start, Dr. Foss? Welcome and start.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you for staying. Sorry, I was slightly ahead of fine. I'm speaking on behalf of the IBIT team, looking at the perceptual learning strategy for amblyopia. I've limited the author list down to just the major investigators. I want to draw your particular attention to Nicola Herberson, who was the project manager and our chief orthoptist, who unfortunately died suddenly last week. And I'd like to remember her briefly. The current treatment for amblyopia, as we know, is of patching or penalisation. Patching dates at least back until the 18th century. De Buffon described it in 1743. And possibly the last big advance in the treatment of amblyopia was Cheval in 1850, who introduced penalisation. Despite these treatments, residual amblyopia is common. It's also been pointed out that conventional treatments are not particularly popular, and the MOTAS trial, for example, showed that only about half of the prescribed patching actually ever takes place. And Stuart L describes rather nicely in his textbook that you could expect a period of rebellion from the child before they adapt to the treatment. So try to look for something easier and simpler and has good compliance from children. And there's been a lot of interest in perceptual learning strategy, and this is the idea of presenting images to both eyes, with a common background to both eyes, but an enriched image to the amblyopic eye. And often it takes this in the form of games, and the advantage of games is they're fun to play, so often get good motivation and good engagement with their children, and because they're playing a game, you get a motor response, so in principle you could actually follow and alter their treatment in real time. This is people have been thinking about this for ages. In fact, when the synoptophore was first designed, it was very much that sort of thing in mind. But our modern 3D television sets, introduction of shutter glasses technology, have made this much more practical. And so here, for example, is a child playing the system, and he is wearing the shutter glasses over his normal glasses at a HD screen. And the principle is the glasses have got polarization. They can switch from one side to the other 120 times a second, and that synchronizes it with the HD screen. So the same screen, you're actually presenting a different image to each eye. The number of action games you can do, the one we programmed up is the action game Nux, where this is what the background, you have where you have a little astronaut, both can see, but the amblyopic eye has coins to collect and rocks to shoot. We've also, one of the problems of games is this actually takes a lot of programming time to program them up. In order to get many hours of play time, it's very hard to achieve. So we also looked at using DVDs, where the amblyopic eye sees the DVD with a common border, binocular visual lock, if you like, presented to both eyes. So the first small pilot study done on 10 children is amblyopia, either due to anisotropy or strabismus or combination. The earliest you can start playing this game is really about the age of 4, and of course most amblyopia presents often before that age. This is the raw data showing that 8 out of 10 completed the course, and they're getting only 30 minutes treatment a week. That's a hospital-based system. But despite what strikes as a total of only 3 hours treatment time, the visual improvement is 0.2 logmar, 2 lines of vision over the 6-week period, and when you stop treatment, there's a certain degree of relapse, as perhaps you might expect, which is very encouraging. So on the basis of that, we went to a phase 2 trial. which is 25 children in each arm. So 75 children in the trial. There's the IBIT game. That is where the game as described. The control is a non-IBIT game. So that is the same image presented to both the lazy eye and the good eye. There's no preferential stimulation of the amblyopic eye. And the third arm was the IBIT DVD. Average age was 6, and the key thing to note is actually these are slightly older. I said most children amblyopia presents between 2 and 4. So if you like, most of these patients were residual amblyopia, so they're a hard group to treat. 75% have been treated with patching, but a sizable minority had penalisation. And the first observation is compliance was good, with 90% doing the full treatment protocol. The major problem being not the child, but the parent having to take the child to hospital. Children like playing the game. Perhaps surprisingly, all 3 groups showed improvement, including the IBIT control arm, which is hard to interpret. The degree of improvement for this 3 hours of treatment was 0.1 logMAR, or about 1 line of vision. So there is some evidence that this perceptual learning strategy shows promise. We've done 2 brief pilot studies. Both showed improvement about 0.2 logMAR vision. We're still analysing our trial data, but the 50 children with the IBIT-style treatment also showed improvement at 1 line, but so did the game control group. 2 patients got transient double vision during the treatment, and that was both in the IBIT treated group, and both those resolved on stopping treatment. We're not the only people to be playing with this idea. I'm sure Hess's group in Tetris game is well known. He was working on adults, which are, again, a very hard group to treat, a high-risk group to treat. And his team, they required at least 6 hours treatment if they got any discernible benefit. I mean, they were getting much more than that. They're getting 2 hours a day for about 2 to 4 weeks. So the conclusion of this limited work to date is that it's well-accepted treatment, but you seem to be getting an effect with 3 hours treatment, but what part of our treatment is actually causing the effect is not completely clear. And we really need to do more work to see if it's an effective modality of treatment. And in particular, I'm very glad to say we managed to achieve further funding to try and convert this for home use, because I think the big question is to try and increase the treatment times. 3 hours sounds very minimalistic. And assuming that goes well, one reason I'm here was we will be looking for trial centres if people are interested. We do have a potential commercial interest. There is a patent on the system which we have. It's only valid for Europe. Hess's group have got America. Or at least he thinks he's got a patent for America. For reasons it could be challenged. And I thank you. Thank you for staying.
Thank you, Dr. Foss. Θέλει κανείς να σχολιάσει κάτι για τον κύριο Foss? If not, I would like to ask you, as you know better than I, the critical period for a case of strabismus, congenital strabismus unilateral, is the first 2.5 or 3 years. So if until the 4 years when you start your interesting this program, if we lose this period of time, 4 years for nothing, okay, then it's extremely difficult to regain any line, for me, of vision. So,
2 observations.
I suppose that you start with occlusion.
So, 2 observations. First of all, we were not, congenital esotropia was an exclusion criteria. And secondly, a lot of work now is coming through that the sensitive period of development is much longer than people thought. And people like Kess's group are suggesting that even in adults you can get some improvement from a perceptual learning strategy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the idea that the sensitive period terminates by the age of 7 or 8, I think now in the scientific literature is being challenged.
And besides, you need cooperative patients.
Yes.
4 years, a child. I don't know if cooperate for this. Anyway, congratulations for your presentation. Thank you.